Hello, I think here we are, chapter 2 of the Gorkanru. Now, just I don't know if you caught my last video, but they're watching me. They're watching me. So where was I? I can remember as a consultant that if your attitude was bad, and I'll say this at the beginning of this video now. Now, things did change, so it wasn't as it was when I left. When I started, sorry. So when I left, things had changed a lot. And they probably don't even practice half the stuff that I'm saying now. So, what they're fearful for, I've got no idea, because I'm not sharing any of their secrets. But I'm gonna share their secrets. So yeah, I can remember as a consultant that if your attitude wasn't great, excuse the cold by the way, if your attitude wasn't great, you would, if you did something wrong, or you wouldn't get reprimanded verbally, you would get reprimanded physically. They called it an attitude adjustment. And whether the hierarchy knew about this, I've got no idea. But I can remember times where, I'd be kicked all around the dojo. I'd be, beaten up, and even one time left me in tears. I'd be in a corner being punched and kicked, and one time it did even leave me in tears. But it's like, well, what did I do wrong? So, and what they'd do is they'd give a little nod. So if the manager at the time, if your manager at the time knew you'd done something wrong, he'd have a chat, or he'd give somebody else a nod to kick you in, basically. So yeah, there were many times, the old sort of brainwashing, and it was brainwashing. Sorry, I'm really sorry. It was brainwashing. I got told that I was joining a cult, CULT. I was joining a cult, and I didn't see it because all I saw was the success. All I saw was the success of the consultants, the success of the managers, the success of the zone directors. So the hierarchy went, you were a consultant, that's the bottom level, and then there was a manager above you who managed up to as many guys as they wanted, and girls. When I say guys, I mean guys and gals. I'm not being sexist. So they would build a team of however many they wanted, and then above the manager, so there was probably 10 managers per zone, and then above that was a zone director, and they would manage the managers. And then above the zone director was the EVP, the executive vice president, and then above him was the founder. So that's how the hierarchy worked. Yeah, there was always somebody to answer to. There was always somebody making sure you were doing the right thing and on the right track and following what GKR actually adhered to. So yeah, I mean, as a consultant, we'd be out there in all kinds of weather. I can actually remember my first year of knocking on doors. I was actually knocking on doors on Christmas Eve. All right, I was actually trying to enroll people on Christmas Eve. Little did we know that the club actually shut down 2 or 3 days before, and we were supposed to have 2 weeks off. Probably not, but as I got more into it, the club shut down for 2 weeks, and we had 2 weeks off of freedom. So yeah, I've actually been knocking on doors on Christmas Eve. So as a consultant, there wasn't a lot of. It's dubbed the family club, but there wasn't a lot of time for family. Like I said in my previous video, that you'd be out there, you'd leave your house, you'd get up, you'd leave your house, and then you won't see your family. I missed birthdays, I missed occasions, I missed quite a lot of the family that I was with, as in my ex-wife and her 2 kids. I did miss a lot because I had to be out there sort of knocking on doors. I missed birthday parties. There was a Saturday when a consultant that I was with called Ben Lloyd didn't get his goal. So my manager, Pete, said to me, go out there with him on a Saturday, do a few hours knocking, and then you can go do your thing. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was being shown at the cinema in York. And we went to that. I was planning on meeting I'll just keep calling her my ex. I was planning on meeting the ex and the two kids, and Ben was due to come with us. So, so that's how long ago that was. So I went out knocking on doors. I scored myself another 5 members that morning, so that was bonus for me. It was 4 or 5 members that morning, so it was bonus for me. And then we were allowed to go. I think he might have got 6 or 7 members. So I helped him. Just being out there with somebody helped him get the goal. My best day was 11 members in a day, which is pretty good. I've taught people to go out there and get 20 members in a day. So there was a lot of money to be had. If you were good at the job, but you were easily wrote off. People would trade. I remember a guy called Paul. He actually traded 6 membership cards for a car. That's like, here's 6 memberships, give me a car. So it was kind of you could take whatever you wanted, and I got to a stage in my consultancy, because I think the last video I finished on, then I became a manager. So I'll just go back to consultancy. I can remember days in my consultancy where somebody'd say, I've got no money. And I'd be like, okay, well, we can trade. We can trade if you want something, we can trade. So, I'll be trading stuff for memberships, just to get people down to karate classes. Now, my activation rate, because what happened is they wanted to monitor, so it was always being monitored. It was like Big Brother was always watching. The change from going from a lifetime membership at £80 to a lifetime membership at £20 to then saying you can have a lifetime membership at £80, or you can have tonight's discount, a lifetime membership at £40, or you can have a beginner's introductory class for 20 quid. 20 quid, 25 quid, 20 quid, I forget now. So we love that fees page. We love those fees, because we just thought, well, if people don't do it for the 40, they're going to do it for the 20. If they don't do it for the 20, they're going to do it for the 40. So it was like, easy pickings. And these little cards had like activation slips, so that when the student went to class, the instructor would tear them off. The non-black belt instructor would tear them off and then hand them into the area manager, who then counted them up. So if you said one week, I've got 10 members, and you only had 2 activation slips, you can probably guarantee that some of those members were ghost members. My activation was 90%. So basically, out of every 10 people I enrolled, 9 of them went to class. There was always a rate of people that enroll to actually go to class and then to go to yellow belt. And here's some of the statistics that happened back then. Out of 100 people enrolled, 70% went to class. Okay? That's not bad. And out of those 70% that went to class, only 30% of them actually achieved their yellow belt and got to yellow belt. So actually only 30% of them went to, stayed 12 weeks. Okay, 12 weeks to get to yellow belt. It's pretty average. It's pretty normal for any student, really. So, I mean, there was nothing wrong with the grading. But it was the out of 100 people that had paid £20 to enroll, only 30 of those people actually got to yellow belt. And that's pretty scary stuff, isn't it, really? But you're going to get that. You're going to get that. And why was it? Well, I can go into that later on. But when I was a consultant, I used to attend gradings. I used to attend gradings because I had some students that, as an orange belt, green belt, whatever I was, I had students that actually went to grading, so I'd attend them just so I could be there for the student. And Pete came up to me one day and he said, "Look, James, these other instructors, they're not happy." I'm like, "Well, why?" He said, "Because of your arrogance. They think that you're better than they are. Oh, sorry, they think that you think that you're better than they are." So my reply to him was, "I am." And he said, "Well, I know that, but just cool it down a little bit." So it's like, all right, that's a bit of eat some humble pie, James, because I didn't know how to act. I was early 20s, or 21, 22, 23. I didn't know how to act. I just thought, everybody in there was the same grade. All black and whites were the same grade. But like I say, later on in the line, I figured out that not all black and whites were the same grade. and it was all black and white. The only black belts that were around was Pete Devlin. He was the only black belt that I actually saw. And then later on, Andy Ward and a few more black belts started coming through. I actually see my black belt in 2003. So 1999, 2003, with a couple of other guys, Matt, Daniel Taylor, Alan Jenkins, Gamal. I can't remember who else there was, but if there was anybody else. So yeah, all good guys, by the way. All good guys. You know, there was nothing sort of untoward with them. They were good guys. So yeah, that's basically consultantship, and that's, you know, like I say, we missed a lot. We struggled a lot. You know, you got these managers that are driving around in nice cars and pushing us to achieve the goal while they were sat at home doing nothing. You know, but that's the thing that they were allowed to do. You know, it's a case if you become a manager now, you don't have to knock on doors. All right, keep that locked away for later on. You're a manager now, you don't have to knock on doors. All right, fair enough. So yeah, I was taken under the wing by Andy Ward's guys, and like I said, Matt Hickling, Aaron, a couple of other guys took me under the wing and looked after me. So, you know, like I said in my last video, I appreciate that, fellas. And yeah, do get in touch if you can. So yeah, that's consultantship. You know, we'd get paid by cash, check, or card. Checks were held back for 2 weeks. There was a 2-week clearance period for a check. Visa cards would go through and you get cash for them straight away, and cash was just cash. So yeah, you know, we held them back for, you know, I do know why the checks were held back for 2 weeks, but you know, it was a long process to get your check money. I just left my check money in there because then when it came to conferences, I'd be able to say, look, Pete, sorry, at the time it was Sensei, Pete, look, Sensei, just, I've got check money there, just take my conference fees out of that, because I never missed a conference. From day one as being a consultant, I never missed a conference. It was kind of it wasn't forced upon you to go, but the hype behind it was that you don't want to miss it. You can't afford to miss it, because it was a bit like if you've ever seen people at a gospel church, it was a little bit like that. There'd be speakers, as in motivational speakers. There'd be managers and consultants speaking. There'd be music and dancing. There'd be rah rah rah. There'd be hoorah, all that sort of stuff. You stand on chairs. You know, and it would just be like a party of celebration, and the conferences were freaking ace. I used to love going to them. I couldn't wait for the next one. Got to my first one. Yes, it was expensive, and I went on my own, but I just couldn't miss another one. I couldn't afford to, you know. So it was just a case of get to the conference, and you know, and it wasn't forced. It wasn't forced upon you. It was a case of you just get there, you know. I wanted to go. I was sort of enwrapped in this whole thing, of this whole business model of you know, GKR Karate. It was kind of a thrill to go there. So we'd go down Saturday. My first conference it was over a Saturday and a Sunday. So we went down Saturday morning. We're leaving our homes at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get to Birmingham for 8 o'clock training. Not having time to check into any hotels or anything. And then we'd leave on Sunday afternoon, Sunday about 7 o'clock-ish, Sunday night, mid-afternoon, late afternoon. And then we'd still be back at, you know, knocking on doors on the Monday. So it was a pretty hectic, pretty draining kind of thing to do. You know, I do not so much credit, but I do hold a lot of what I went through with GKR Karate as reasons for my mental health. The lifestyle that we basically had to uphold, the pressures that we were under, not only as consultants but as managers as well. So yeah, excuse me, that was my time as a consultant. And you know, would I do it again? No. Would I recommend anyone to do it again? Would I recommend anyone to do it? Well, at the time, I'm gonna have a whole soother. At the time, because I was a manager, I had to sell the idea. To people in an interview. I had to interview people. It wasn't really an interview. It was more like a sales pitch. In an interview, you would ask certain questions, but this was more like a sales pitch. We had to learn interview skills. We had maybe a 10-page book that had a script with it per page, but we couldn't read the script. In the presentation folders that we went to people's homes with, the script was at the bottom, so we just read off the bottom. Piece of cake, anybody can do it. But the interview script, we had to learn 3 A4 pages worth in, I think it was maybe 12 font. We had to learn 3 pages worth of script to go through this folder with, and each page had a relevant script to it. And then one of the hardest things was because I was a crap manager as well to begin with. I was shocking the pot. I'll go into management in a second, but to not see anything for your fruits of your labour, and people selling this idea that as a consultant you were crap at, and it's like, well, do I want somebody to go down the same path? So there was a belief factor for me to break through. That it's like, well, I struggled as a consultant. Now, if this person struggles as a consultant, that's my fault for not helping them become a good consultant. So there was a lot of some guilt. There was a lot of guilt there with doing interviews. I did interviews as a consultant. There was guilt there. There was guilt in there as well. We'd have sales training meetings. We'd have script training meetings. We thought we were, all clever because we had training meeting at 2 till 3. Some meetings we had. This again is sticking with consultancy. Bear in mind we had to be on doors at 4 o'clock. Canvassing started at 4. Because that's when people are coming home from work. That's the prime time for canvassing. So we start training at 12. We'd go till 1:30. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Monday to Friday, we'd have meetings 2 till 3. Now, some of these meetings, when Pete started talking, it was a bugger for it. When he started talking, he would go on and on and on. And he'd tell stories about samurai warriors, and he'd tell stories. And his stories were captivating. But you thought to yourself, you couldn't say it because you thought, if you say anything, you're going to get a slap. I've got to get out there. I've got to get from Armley Sports Centre to, say, for example, York. It's 5 to 3. We need to go. But he might hold meetings till 3:30, 4 o'clock. So we won't be out on the doors until 5, 5:30. Bear in mind that, it's unpolite to knock on somebody's door after 7:30 to book an appointment. But yeah, it was frustrating. Pete, if you do get a chance to watch this, you were frustrated, man, I tell you. There were times when we literally drive through McDonald's and eat on the way there. There was no time to do anything because of Pete's stories. But he was a good storyteller. Nothing to do with the business. It was just a story. He just loved to talk, I think. And even Andy Ward sort of thought, come on, these guys got to get out there. But Armley was the area that Andy Ward's guys worked around. They didn't have to go as far out as York or anywhere like that, which is a good hour and a half's drive, and then you got traffic on top of that. So yeah, we'd that'll be the meetings 2 till 3. In some of the meetings, we'd prepare letters for new students, get the envelopes there. We'd work on sales. We'd work on script. I didn't really know much about sales as a consultant. I only really learned sales as a manager, because Bob McCracken was bang into his sales, and I'll tell you what, he was skilled. He was very skilled at sales, was Bob. He literally could sell ice to an Eskimo, as the saying goes. He could sell anything to anybody. He was very, very skilled. He knew his stuff. And the way he put it across, you could not say no. So you can understand why he was in the position he was in, because he was very, very competent at a lot of the sales stuff. It was a powerhouse in the karate. I'll go into the decline later on, but it was a powerhouse in the karate. It was a force to be reckoned with, Bob McCracken. Very strong character. You did not cross that man. You knew if you were in bother. But yeah, so I only really learned sales from him. And I was never really taught it. I was just, here's a script, read it, put this bit of tonality into it, read this fees page, sign people up. But yeah, Bob taught me a lot, hell of a lot, about myself, about the way I acted, about everything. So yeah, I'm gonna probably close on that now and just that's the end of consultancy. It was a hard slog. It was a very hard slog. All kinds of weather. I used to have a spare set of clothing in the boot of the car. My Vauxhall Carlton, 2-litre Vauxhall Carlton that was given to me by Pete, because a guy called Andrew Marks had gone back to Australia and left his Carlton. I just finished a drink driving ban. Yes, I was a bit of a terror. I was caught drink driving. I was banned for 18 months. And when I got my license back, so Pete helped me out a lot. He was ferrying me around places and dropping me off and make sure I got to train and stuff in. I'd get the bus to meet him and we'd go from there. I wasn't expecting to pick me up or drop me off at a big case. So meet me here. It's on my way. Fair enough. And he'd take me in. Never asked for fuel money. He just did it. So kudos to him. But yeah, it was a hard slog. All kinds of weather. Spare pair of clothing in the boot of the car, because you want to be able to go. So we get changed in the back of a car. You want to be able to go into somebody's house, not drenched like a drowned rat. You would go in there with nice, clean clothes. So it was always spare clothes, clean trainers, always, an extra set there. So yeah, that's basically consultancy. I don't want to, like I say, would I do it again? No. If that's the system they operate now, would I recommend anyone do it? No. But it was an experience. I won't do it again. I won't recommend anyone to do it again. But it taught me. So even though I might be speaking a little bit negative about GKR Karate, they did teach me a lot of positive things. It taught me a hell of a lot. So, my karate ability, my karate, not so much my karate knowledge, but my karate ability, and the way that I speak to people, or the confidence that I have, I got all that from GKR. I got all that from being a consultant and being a manager. So they did teach me a hell of a lot. And I thank them for that. So they're not all bad. Sorry, it's not all bad. And they're not all bad either. There are some horrible people there, or that were there, and there are some all right people there. Like I say, there's a few names that I mentioned in the previous video. At the time, Bob was great. Bob McCracken was my mentor. Fearful, didn't cross him. He was my mentor. So I'm going to close this video now, and then I'm going to go probably do another one on management and my times as a manager. Dun, dun, dun. So don't forget, subscribe, leave a comment. If you are watching and you are from GKR, your name's probably going to pop out at some point. Don't fear, gentlemen. I'm not going to mention. There's going to be certain things that I will not mention. But I'm also not going to hide things either. So, what happens in your personal life, or what I have witnessed in your personal lives, I may mention, I may not mention, but I won't mention names for that. but I will go into some of the antics that we got up with as managers, got up to as managers. But I won't go into to names or anything like that. Okay, so dudes, you've got nothing to fear. There's a lot. There was. I use the word was. There was a lot of corruption, and you know this is why I've titled these "The Truth Behind the Smiles," because all people see from this club, and this is true in life as well. This isn't just about GKR Karate now. This is about life. All people see is the happy side. You are trained to always be happy. You can't let your emotions. You've got to keep your emotions below the surface. So yeah. I'm going to close it there, I think. Don't panic, gentlemen. Your secrets may be safe with me.